we're starting. All right, I'm gonna check the channel real quick here. I kind of do this on Wednesdays to check, make sure it's actually like flowing, and we don't spend first 10 minutes of like talking and not being on
And then
volume.
there's
Yep.
nothing. Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be
That
dead air does not sell though.
I've had that happen several times.
Hmm.
All right. Actually, it's coming through. Our voices are coming through. So,
Yes.
um, welcome everybody to our first, and we'll see if this becomes a running thing or not. Our first episode of Tribble. It
Yes.
is going to be a talking show, and we're gonna it's in homage to Pineapple, as in we'll be rambling, but it's a little more focused as we'll talk about Star Trek things. And
Yes.
since Star Trek Picard has just started up, and I think
Oh
there's
yes.
a lot to talk about there. And it'd just be a way to just kind of like get our spoilers out of our systems, as well as just talking about what we think it's going, and then we'll probably deviate to Star Trek things in general. But so today's topic is going to cover down season 3, episodes 1 through 3. We do have a spoiler alert, red alert up there in the corner. So just to let you know that if you have not watched it up to see episode 3, and that's the most current one out as of right now at the time of airing, don't watch this because we'll ruin stuff for you, and it's great. I would hate to ruin that for you. So take a moment
Please.
now to notice the spoiler alert and accept the terms of that. If you continue listening, we will spoil the crap out of this for you in a good way.
I swear to God, if you flame us in the comments for spoiling it, I'm going to find you.
so so
That's a
but
great way to start. Threaten your
they're
audience.
in your audience.
That's
That's good.
broadcasting
Eh,
101.
well, this is a disclaimer of, you've been informed, so you can't be like, but you guys didn't tell me you were spoiled. We told you up front, and we have the little alert up there too. So, in addition to that, though, but all the things we do on this channel are for Extra Life, which we
Yes.
also have the logo up there for. So please go into, I'm going to post it in the chat, but please go to our Extra Life page, on Rabbit Habit Ashery, and click on the link. All our team members there are representing various different hospitals. Find one that resonates with you, and find the ability to donate some to one of those hospitals. The money goes to sick kids and their parents for taking care of them during their hospital stay. Um, Hospital stays can be very difficult for kids, for anybody, but especially for kids. It helps to keep them entertained, all things considered. It's a great charity. We have all our programming on the channels in support of them. So please go to the link in the chat and feel free to donate. Um, Also, I just want to put a plug in for all the other great things we do on this channel on Rabbit Haberdashery. As you'll see, the intro credits to our role playing of the FOSSA system for Star Trek, but it's Star Trek Lexington Last of the Line, which is broadcast on Thursdays, um, Thursday evenings, pretty consistently. We just got started in our new campaign, the main quest line. So Tripper is the GM for that. And I guess that's a good segue for our guest for today is Tripper. In addition to myself, I guess we're both guests because we're both starting this off. I think we're going to be the core too, but I think
Probably.
other formats, I welcome other members of the team to get involved if they want to have a spoiler discussion about Picard, um, but also probably other Star Trek stuff. So please join us for Lexington Last of the Line on Thursday evenings on this channel. We also have
9 o'clock Eastern.
9 o'clock Eastern. Fantastic. I was kind of skirting around that time, but thank you. nine
Well,
o'clock
you're
Eastern.
in the wrong time zone, so
Oh,
you
I
don't
know.
know jack.
I always got to recalibrate for those that I'm on the Pacific, the better coast,
Right, 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 right.
right, and even though like 3/4 of the American population lives on the East Coast, but that's beside the
Well,
point.
if you're on the left coast, it means that I'm on the right coast.
I walked in that. I got no rebuttal. Um, but
I'm just
yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. It's all friendly. So also things on the channel, we have Pathfinder role playing game going on Monday nights. I believe 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We also have Sentinels of the Road to Oblivion, Sentinels Multiverse that me and my brother Coinless host tomorrow on Wednesday nights, usually about 8:15 Pacific Standard Time. Um, Also, throughout the programming week, we'll have various other shows that pop up and down, but those are pretty much the consistent ones. Without further ado, we're going to transition to let's talk about Star Trek Picard season 3. And Trips, since I've been doing a lot of talking, I will kick it off to you. What would you, if you had to tell the audience one thing about Picard, season episodes 1 through 3, what would you want to tell them?
Well, the first thing is this is the Picard that all of us old school Trekkers, Trekkies, whatever term you want to use, it's what we've been waiting for. Yeah, the last 2 seasons had their highs and lows, but this is fan service 101. I will be selfish and say I don't care what newer viewers think so much. I mean, it's good. It's not like it's excluding the new people, of course, but getting to see all the cast coming back, it's just all the next generation people coming back. It just feels so right, especially like Worf talking about working on himself and that Killings, or was it Killings are on Wednesdays? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, yes, that's right.
Oh
Yeah, it's like
God.
it's murder Tuesdays versus murder Wednesdays. Yeah, it's something like that. I thought they've. I wonder if that's, there's a Ready Room show and there's other avenues to find out more tidbits. I wonder if that's something the actor came up with of like, no, I'm gonna have him better myself. I'm changed, or if that's something the writers did. But I thought it was a fantastic spin on a character of like, no, he's gone past that.
Yeah.
But I would agree that it's this season's been fun, and I'll be honest, I've been very critical of about 75% of the Star Trek that's been put out recently. But I like Picard season 3. Picard season 1 and 2, I really Trip already knows. I think we've had a lot of sidebar discussions. Actually, what caused me wanting to do this show, because I'm like, we're going to talk about this anyway, so I'll just put it on air and see if anyone else is interested in talking about it.
Yeah.
But Picard season 1 and 2, I think what they slowly figured out was like, what works is the nostalgia, and then we're just going to do this. And I honestly think Picard season 3 could have been the best standalone Star Trek TNG movie out there. I'm going to throw that out there. Like, I think by the time they put it out there, like, I think it's going to be the better. It would have been an amazing Star Trek TNG movie. But they made it over a whole season. I'm fine with that format, but I think where it's going with it, it's I don't think it's Star Trek Picard. I think it's Star Trek TNG.
Literally,
The
episode
epilogue.
1 was called. Episode 1 was The Next Generation, so they know what they're doing.
They do.
Know
They
what they're
do.
doing.
They do. And I'm okay with it. I mean, I think they figured out what works and what people wanted, and they're like, well, let's just do this. And I think they're bringing back the characters in a sensible way. It's not like they're forcing them all back in the same room to be like somehow Starfleet wanted to like take all these people out of retirement and pull an Enterprise out of mothball. They're not doing anything like lazy like that. I think they're being very thoughtful and deliberate of how they bring each characters in.
We'll see how LaForge gets in. We have his daughter, which is a nice touch, but we'll crash LaForge. But yeah, we'll see how Geordi makes his reappearance. But of the living in like the story cast, I think he's the only one not to appear, unless I'm just completely blanking. Data has already appeared.
That's true. You're right. I don't think he hasn't even made his character has not made a cameo yet.
No, but if you watched the previews, you'll know that
he's coming.
Similar to Data's not coming. I won't give anything else because it's not actually happening in the show, but someone's coming, and it's gonna be like, oh god.
Oh, that's gonna be nice. Really? Oh, that's building up.
I guess you didn't watch through the credits on the first.
You know,
episode.
I was very torn. I saw the credits thing, and I was kind of torn. I kind of like watched it with one eye open and one eye closed because I was like, I want to see this, but I'm like, actually, you guys are doing a good job so far. I don't want to it kind of ruins it a little bit for me because I'm like, oh, now I guess previous seasons you kind of had to put that hook of like, okay, why am I watching this? There were like other shows like Game of Thrones. Sometimes you get like a slow episode and you're like, what's coming next? And they hook you. But this one I'm like, I'm actually already hooked. You guys didn't need to do that. So yeah, I technically watched it, but I was not taking notes. I kind of was like I was deciding whether to look away or not because I was like, I don't know if I want to be ruined. Which is,
I only remember one thing from it, and that's the thing I'm talking about. And everything else just
oh
kind of
really?
faded into the background. Yes, because it's just like, oh my god, this is gonna be great. I cannot wait for
Uh,
that to come up. But I'm
I,
not gonna ruin it.
I'll be honest too. I think Tripper will vouch for this. I had like absolutely no faith that season 3 was going to be any good. I thought they were just going to force all like they're like, oh, nostalgia worked in season 2. We're just going to like double down on this and not make it any sense. We're just going to, you know, everyone wants to see these characters back. And so far, I've been very impressed. Of like they made a sensible conversation. Um, uh, I even like the characters. They've cherry picked most of the good characters. Like, and that was another thing about the Picard season 1 and 2 is like most of the Picard season, most of the original characters are kind of gone. Um, but I think they've picked a core selection of a few supporting Picard cast members to support the TNG group. What do you think, Trip?
Uh, Pretty much the only one left is Rafi, as far as like the ones they've added the last few seasons, which is fine, I guess. Rafi was nice.
She's the
Girardi got
sole.
bored.
She's the sole survivor.
Yeah, Girardi's a Borg queen. Let's see. Is it Elliot? I don't remember the kid. The Romulan kid. He did a big dead. So he's gone. The android girl from the first season. I don't even know where she
Oh
is. She's
yeah,
never
yeah.
mentioned.
No,
She was like
didn't she
huge.
get travelered? Like, wasn't that no that one?
Oh
That's a
yeah, yeah. She got Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton's.
That's right. She got
Which
Will Wheaton.
I was. I'll be honest. I was a little. I thought like if we are gonna weave in the Traveler and Will Wheaton, I don't know. I didn't. It felt a little attached at the end. It felt like, oh, we're gonna take one from Star Wars playbook and like, oh, I know that guy. Like, and
Yeah,
it was, but it was like, it just for me, it
hey,
didn't fit the storyline.
It's your favorite TNG character,
I
Wesley.
I actually liked Wesley. I know everyone loved.
I mean, he's
He's
not bad, but I'm just yes. Of all the characters to pick, Wesley.
yeah.
I'd have taken O'Brien over Wesley.
Right? I mean, you can cheat because Wesley's character like is essentially near omnipotent as a way, but like, um, yeah, I just feel like you could have, they could have done that better. But that's my
Yeah.
opinion. Like, but they did, so it happened. Um,
Now, what are the odds that he actually shows up this season? That would be interesting. Like,
I think zero.
hey,
I think they.
meet, meet your half brother. Spoiler alert, or not? It's all spoiler alert. What am I
Oh,
saying?
other
Right?
awkward thing, you've completely bailed on your mother for like 20, 30 years because she was all, Beverly Crusher was all like, yeah, I haven't seen my son in forever. And I'm like, oof, he's not dead. He's just trans-dimensional. Like, call your mom every
Yes.
once in a while. Come on, dude. So, but, I guess not.
I mean, if you've got the ability to be literally at all points in the universe simultaneously, you can make it home for dinner every once in a while.
Right? Right? Didn't your mom teach you manners? But anyways, let's not.
Apparently, she didn't.
It's
So she has
it's.
no one to blame but herself.
I know, right? Oof. There's a loop. So, um, but yeah, actually, um, I'm gonna transition a little bit and say one thing about Beverly Crusher. I'll give her credit is that on episode 3 in particular, she actually did medicine. I was very surprised when I saw her. She was doing what's called a Blumberg sign to evaluate trauma, and I was like, wait a second, that's actual medicine they're showing on television. And usually comically, like, medicine is like they write the script and no one consulted anyone that actually does medicine about it.
Yeah.
But I was actually like, well, wait, that's actually a test we would do in that situation to do that. Like, and so I was very happy. I just had to make mention of that. It was like, these are the things that stick out in my mind. I'm like, oh, wow, like, that's how good the story is this year. They're actually, like, fact-checking stuff or something. They had...
Although
Go ahead.
they still got the defibrillators wrong, because that's
They
not
did.
how you. Yeah, that's not how you restart a heart.
Well, let's talk about restarting hearts. One thing I noticed is in Star Trek episode or movie, the Star Trek 6, the movie, McCoy tries to resuscitate Klingon using a what's called a precordial thump, which is 1990s CPR, which uh, people practicing medicine today probably don't even remember it. But so it sticks out like a sore thumb when you watch the movie now. You're like, oh my god. So
Cutting edge
you have a
in
futuristic
'91.
doctor practicing medieval medicine essentially.
Yeah.
But he's a Klingon, so maybe screw it, why not give it a shot? But anyways, um, what would you say is the most interesting twist you've seen in Picard so far that you weren't anticipating coming into the season?
The Dominion apparently having something to do with it. The Changelings. That's a problem for me actually, because Deep Space Nine is the only series that I have not watched all of. Like I've watched like less than half of Deep Space Nine.
Okay,
So I know what happened. I know the Dominion. I know the Changelings. I know how the series ends. But there's going to be a lot of details that come up that are just going to be lost on me, and I definitely do not have time to watch 7 seasons of 20 something episodes each season.
yeah, there was the tail end. I mean, so I got inconsistent about watching it like towards the tail end. When the Defiant came in, I liked the Defiant. The war started, and I did see the ending, and I've seen episodes in between, but there's several episodes about the war and the tactics of the war that I'm not 100% on. So also kudos to them. Me and Tripper had a conversation about this earlier before I saw episode 3, and I picked out a different plot line. I think it was very viable, but I wouldn't have guessed that the changelings were going to be involved. I felt that was I I still don't know if I swallow the whole idea of like the changelings have been just been sulking around for 20 years and then this is their moment to strike. Uh, but A, for creativity of like reaching back into the Star Trek canon and being like, well, we're gonna pull these guys out. Bet you no one's gonna see that. Um, we'll see how it plays out. But I appreciate it. But I didn't see that particular thing coming. Um, yeah, I just
that's
I
that's
just find
that's a
it
good.
like a like sleeper cell of like, oh, they've been down for like 20, 30 years and suddenly they're gonna reemerge. It's like, I don't know. But
Well, it depends on exactly what's happening.
right.
I mean, like Odo in Deep Space Nine, every changeling does not necessarily work for the Dominion, so it's entirely possible they're working for some other agency, which is most likely related to evil lady with the Shrike who's trying to kill Jack Crusher Jr. Uh,
See, I think she's just a proxy. I think she's just I'm a badass pirate with a ship that's like I'm just getting funded by the real evil. Like I get all the cool weapons, I got a cool ship and they pay me very well to like
Portal Tech.
right, like
Portal Tech. Oh my! When I
but
saw that, I was like, "Oh God, I'm playing Portal 2." Oh, no, I know this.
also, by the way, the campaign very close I think Paramount should have I think they somehow got a hold of your crib notes for the Lexington because you made Sneed before Sneed happens, and then the wormhole portal effect was almost the same point as our role playing campaign. So I think you have an access to advanced copy of the script for this season. I think.
Or
Trip.
I've watched too much of this damn show, and I know how to make a Star Trek plot.
I or that's it too, probably.
Oh God.
But yeah, no, I think it's been fun. I what do you think about the whole Picard having a kid that he hasn't had known for the longest of time? What's your thoughts on that?
Um, how it turns out will really determine a lot of it. Initially, I think, yeah, I was afraid that it was going to turn into like Beverly. Oh my God, you bitch! How could you not do that? But then after that whole speech she gave, I'm like, oh, okay, understandable. Have a good
Really?
day.
So the
Uh,
speech sold you. I mean, it did.
well, no. It didn't sell me, but I understand. I don't know which side to take on that as far
Oh,
as
okay.
yes, Picard does have every right to know the fact that he's a
He's
father,
yeah.
but also Beverly has every right as a mother to protect her son. So he's in the right, maybe both, maybe neither. That's good writing when there's not
Is
an obvious. At least that's good modern writing. I remember back when Star Trek first came out, there was no such thing as moral ambiguity. There were the good guys and the bad guys. It was the Western mentality. The good guys wore white hats, the bad guys wore black hats. There was no middle ground. But nope. 21st century 22 or 2020's writing demands moral ambiguity.
That
So it
it
really does.
it does, but I kudos to the actors involved because I think their facial expressions and their tones was just amazing acting at their finest. Because you could
Yeah.
feel the anguish on Patrick Stewart's face that he portrayed uh, was just visceral. I found that was just very like oh man, like that's how someone would probably feel if they found out they had a son for the past 20 years that they completely like, and he never had kids before, so like
Nope.
so you know, that sucks to be robbed of that. I mean, honestly, I sided with Picard on that one, that whole argument. I like the whole Beverly had a point, but I don't think it's a point that held up for his counter to that. And I appreciate they spent the time to make this. And I think Star Trek has kind of looked over that more recently. To spend the time for character development of like that nature of like, oh, and then rebuttal of like, yeah, okay, that made sense for a couple years, but did it make sense for 20 effing years? And then she goes around and goes, hey, I told him about you. He wasn't interested. It was just like, oof. Um, but like,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, like great. The fact they spent 10 minutes to go down that route is, I feel like I have a hard time recalling that in that type of depth. But also, they're probably characters we both very care about very much, so it means a lot more
Oh
that
yeah.
they spent.
That adds weight to it for us. I mean, we've seen those two characters for 7 years for Picard, 6 for Beverly because season 2.
Mm.
So yeah, and then through a bunch of movies. Although, did you? I did not realize this until it was pointed out to me. Crusher Beverly was not in the last Next Generation movie Nemesis. She just wasn't, and I did not realize that until I saw something about it. I was like, wait, what?
I'll be honest.
Because
I don't. I saw all the Next Generation movies, but the details of which don't stick very well for me. Like, there's the high points, but I didn't remember that. No. But I always felt that Beverly Beverly Crusher's character was largely um, a foil for other characters. Like, she was the mother of Wesley Crusher and the love interest of Picard, more so than her character. Nothing against the actress, it's just that's how they wrote her for most of the time. I felt
yeah,
she was nicer than Pulaski. Pulaski was just a B. I think they
Lasky was literally just McCoy with ovaries. I mean that.
that's a bold
I
statement,
mean,
but it's
just the way that she played that
she
character
is.
was
She was
just
she,
basically McCoy.
yes. And but I think um it worked in TOS because you got a bunch of salty officers, having brandy together and being, it felt more appropriate for the period. I feel that like McCoy and the TNG said the McCoy style and the TNG setting just seems like you're a jerk, like everyone else, you're the jerk in the family, as opposed to them it's just a bunch of guys that just had a wild adventure and they're all like, yeah, yeah, and ribbing each other kind of deal. So, but anyways, but I did think Beverly was always the better doctor, but I didn't,
Yeah.
you know, um, I wasn't, I wasn't like looking forward to seeing her character development every week in TNG. That's nothing. That's just the way it was for me.
Well, I unfortunately for me, I've only seen TNG in reruns. I was too young. It came out like
Ouch!
a
Ouch!
few years before I was born, and like the
Ah.
first few seasons. Like, what year did it end? 95?
Yeah, I think 95 is about
I
right.
was I was 3, so yeah, if I remember any of the first
Uh,
runs, I was way too young to even recall. So I
okay.
barely remember when Voyager was out. I remember Enterprise,
Uh,
but I barely remember when Voyager was first running. So
I I I enjoyed, so TNG was what I got hooked on because I was like 8 when that came out, and honestly there was a huge gap in Star Trek, and Star Trek TOS didn't really appeal to me that much. But it felt very relatable. It was fun. It resonated with me. So obviously I thought just the whole thing, everything about it, I loved. Deep Space Nine came out, and they were just trying to. I was all for more content, but as a kid, I remember being like kind of disinterested towards it, is apathetic towards it until the Defiant and the War came on. But because I think half the fun was exploring a ship going out as opposed to a station where everything visited in. Voyager was great. Um, it was just more difficult to watch because it would broadcast on a station. Um, and back then, like it was hard. Like you had to record it and stuff. So
UPN, yeah.
yeah, I was on UPN. Yeah, so those are my experiences, but TNG is really where I fell into it. And actually, uh, that's why I also like the Orville. Even though it's not Star Trek property, it's like it's got the same feel. Maybe not the first couple of episodes, but it's the same feel as they just modernize the jokes for 2020. I hope they keep going with that series. That's kind of in limbo. They did a great job with the last season of that. And then it's just like I don't know if anyone's gonna pick it up. I kind of hope somebody does. Like, but we'll see. I haven't heard any chatter on that since.
I've never really watched it, so I couldn't tell
Oh, you
much
need to
on
watch
that
it.
one.
Oh, you need to watch it. And in fairness,
Uh,
like the first 3 or 4 episodes, I think they're trying to be funny. I think bad marketing happening for it because everyone said Seth MacFarlane. Oh, it's going to be like just straight on jokes. It's going to be a parody of of Star Trek, and I think they tried that for the first couple episodes, and then they got serious and we're just going to rip off TNG plot lines and put them in our setting and update them for 2010s and the 2020s. And I think they did a fantastic, especially the last season, the overarching stories. Um, but also, I don't think they don't have to run into. They're making canon as they go along, so they don't have to run into a lot of stuff. So they're able to address
yeah.
it. But they did the classic TNG of like, we're gonna talk about the rights of various things in society. Um, and they do a good job. Anyways, I'd say anyone that's a big fan, especially if you're a fan of TNG, watch the Orville. There's 3 seasons out there. I would say halfway through the first season, they start getting into their stride. Um, and that's good stuff all the way. They had a
Better than
couple.
TNG, which took 2 seasons to get into its stride.
I liked TNG the first episode, but it matured very. It matured after the first season was still immature. Uh, I'll be honest. They had the short skirts of the officers. They had the love planet of Eden and stuff like that. And I understand why that's in there, but like that's not. They're just trying to keep their show afloat. It wasn't, and the plot lines were a little finding the footing. Also, for me, the very first episode of with entering the queue and all that stuff, like, I didn't care for it too much. I didn't care for it. I cared for the character Q later on because then they made more sense of it. But just being exposed to that up front, you're kind of like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
But that's my viewpoint that kind of stuck with me through the years. But but let's switch gears a little bit. What do you think of the captain of the Titan? Do you think he's gonna pull through?
Oh, I don't think he's gonna die. I suspect there's gonna be a very strong character arc with him because, I mean, you can't be introduced like the way he was, just the gigantic, the biggest flaming asshole in Star Trek. Just to treat Riker and Picard like that, like he does not give a damn about what they've done.
By the
I
way, I
feel
love
like
how he's breaking all the protocol, but he's very like he's like a by the book man. But I'm like, you didn't get up when the admiral came by. You didn't invite him. You just started eating before. Like, there's so many protocol things you're breaking there. But like, oh,
yep.
I'm a by the book guy. Um,
Mm.
but
By the book was good.
I like the character. I'm like, oh my god. Like, I actually think. At first, I thought he was just gonna be like a placeholder character of like someone that's like he's in charge, doesn't agree, but actually I like what the actor has done with that role. I feel like, honestly, I don't think he was given an amazing script. I think it's the acting that he's really portrayed of like the reluctant leader of like, and kudos to him for throwing all the facts back in Picard's face of like, oh yeah, you've smashed a couple of your own ships, like, and it was like, I don't think we've ever seen that before. The referencing to the movie of like when he crashes the Enterprise, like
Yeah, yeah.
that's got to be a legitimate black eye when you take your ship and you smashed your ship. So
He
you know,
lost the Stargazer to the Ferengi.
right? Yeah,
God.
he doesn't. Yeah, I've never seen a character so concisely like, put a jab in on Picard. Usually he's the one that wins the legal argument. So for him to be scolded and it being like, yeah, that all checks out. You should sit your ass down. So.
Sit down, old man. The future is now.
Mm. But yeah, I kind of hope he remains a character. I hope they don't kill him off just to make room. I will say in episode 3 though, I thought the whole Riker being very upset with Picard was a little too abrupt of a turn for me. Like they're best buds through thick and thin. They've been through everything together. So within an episode for Riker to like drop down the whole like, you're gonna get us all killed kind of thing. I thought it was a little too abrupt for me. What do you think about that?
Well, it's funny because I was going to bring this up. So, one theory. So I spend way too much time on Reddit and on the Reddit Star Trek subreddit
Sure,
sometimes.
sure.
So I don't believe this at all because people noting that have said, "Oh, this means Riker's a changeling." No, I don't think it means Riker's a changeling.
Really?
There's a lot better
I
ways
hadn't
to
even thought of
explain
that.
this. Yeah. So what I read, and it's like, that makes a hell of a lot of sense, which actually is a good thing, is that so you know that Riker's son died like if you remember
Right,
from
Thaddeus,
season
right?
one, yeah, Thaddeus died.
I forget
And
why.
Riker was
How did he die? Why did he die? Do we know anything
it
on
was
that?
a rare disorder, a
Hmm.
disease that would have been solvable had they not outlawed positronic androids. So that was the cruel irony of it. Remember,
Uh.
that was the whole thing in season one. Like the androids freaked out, destroyed the Mars, whatever it was on Mars. So they've been banned forever long.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, so for whatever reason, I can't remember the exact science, pseudoscience, but had there been positronic matrices, that would have been able to save Teddy's life. But so anyhow, so
Hmm.
that has left Riker shaken. Understandably, I think that like his son died. Remember, yeah, left Riker shaken. Remember, Picard tried to throw that back in Riker's face at one point
Hmm.
during the episode, and I would think that if honestly Picard was manipulating Riker through that, and then when Picard was proven wrong, it's a double insult to Riker. Not only did he get manipulated for no reason, now it's probably going to get everyone killed, or at least it looks like it. So I don't think that. I mean, God forbid you lose a child. Let's just put it out there. Just think
Sure,
about
of
this as
course.
a father. If someone turned that against you, how would you react?
I guess I didn't make the connection. I would react. One, I would react horribly, but I guess I didn't make the connection that he used his son's death to motivate him to do anything. I guess that glossed over to me, and maybe it shouldn't have because like they were dropping hints about his son dying several times in this season.
Because the
Riker's son.
big thing was, what Picard was saying is that Will was being too cautious because he was so afraid of losing anyone. So that's why Picard was trying to motivate Will to instead of like run away, to attack.
I guess the way I was looking at it was, yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess when you explain it to me, it does make sense that, like, he did feel manipulated. I just feel like it's too, in that, in that time of duress, it was too harsh of a verdict to levy on Picard in, in an episode. Like, he went from the supportive partner in crime, like, hey, we're gonna saddle up and go on an adventure one last time together. I've got your back, and oh, hey, happy day, you found out you had a son. Make the best of it. and then like within an episode being like, "You son of a bitch, you're gonna kill us all because you're fanatical." I'm like, whoa, that for me it just seemed a little too harsh. Like I guess I wish I had more of an arc to appreciate that if that's truly the feeling we're trying to communicate. Because I don't know. For me, it was just, yeah. It was like, whoa, you guys were like at the beginning of the episode, you guys are all about it, and then by the end of the episode, you're like, ready to throw Picard into the brig yourself, and I'm like, whoa, what happened?
Well, one big thing happened is Riker got given command of the ship, so that completely changed the dynamic there. So now, in Riker's mind, it's all on his shoulders.
I know. I mean, I get that, and I definitely get the weight of command, but you didn't feel that bad about it when it was in your ship. So I feel like the fact that you're like suddenly, oh, it's now my ship. Again, for one episode, like I could understand if like a couple episode arc of like him, the whole gaining the command sinks back in, but like being cavalier with 500 people's lives or how many hundreds of people's lives on the ship like an episode before, and suddenly like you give a command 20 minutes ago, and then suddenly like all these 500 people's lives are now like the way my sole purpose for existing is to keep them alive. I get that, but it's just like again that arc swing for me is little harsh. And I'm being critical of something that like again Picard season 3, the least critical season I am about Picard. So like I'm a little nitpicking, but I thought it was a little abrupt. Um, but here we are. So I'm curious, what do you think is going to happen next? What do you think you see in the next episode coming around?
Well, that's the beautiful thing with how it is right now is I honestly don't know what's going to happen. I love being in a show when I don't actually know what to expect, which is why one reason I despise spoilers like that. Oh man, I have a friend who spoils me on stuff and I hate him for it. But so, but no, that's good. That is very good. That I really don't know what to expect. Uh, that can either be for some stories don't know what to expect means because the writing is garbage and they're just throwing literally anything at you left and right. That's not what I feel like's happening here. It's the plot lines going in directions that I can't predict, which is what I like. So I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. I'm just along for the ride at this point.
Very interesting. Yeah, it's actually been a while since, especially Star Trek has not had an overarching theme where you're like, maybe there's an aspect of it, like the big reveal you don't know, but I think it's been a while where you're like, I don't know where this is gonna go. I do think there's gonna be like an epic event at was it Pioneer Day
Oh
or
yeah,
whatever.
there's gonna be some kind of attack.
Yeah,
On Pioneer.
I'm
That
going
much
on the
confidence.
record that like 80-90% of the Starfleet's fleet is going to be destroyed on that day. That's my vote, is that like the Federation's going to have to deal with like 90% of its ships getting obliterated or something like that.
Well,
And
what I will say is I am very confident that won't happen, but I can't say why without spoiling something else in another show. So they're not going to
spoiling
pull the
something
same
else.
trick. They're not going to pull the same trick twice the same year. I'm not going to give
Oh,
anything beyond that.
is that like a Star Trek Discovery thing or something that I'm stumbling upon, or no?
But no, it's one of the shows. I'm not going to tell you which one because
Oh,
I'm trying to avoid spoiling it
oh,
for
okay.
you or whoever else who's not watched that said show. But I'm pretty sure they're not going to do
I
that twice.
have the spoiler alert up. I'm just saying.
Well, okay, the spoiler alert is for Picard, not for
Oh, okay. That's true.
other Star Trek show.
Yeah, all right, fine. Even though we probably have spoiled other aspects of Star Trek, but then
Well,
again,
okay, for
there's
shows that are 20 years old, yeah, I'm not worried about that.
yeah, that's true. Um, so I don't know. That would be my guess that something has done that, because I actually would love to see them explore the concept of like, okay, we know the the Alpha Quadrant politics, and but what does Starfleet do when it doesn't have a fleet to back themselves up? Um, I feel like the other novels and media have explored this, where like a superpower loses their military capability. How does that influence their neighbors? Like, do people get a little more aggressive and assertive because they know Starfleet can't police all their areas? I would love to see that series into it. But I also feel like they're setting the groundwork for this season, because they said Picard, this is the last season of Picard. I feel that they are squandering an opportunity because they finally got I feel that they finally got it right. That they don't spin this off, or it's not Star Trek Picard anymore. It's Star Trek Riker. I don't know, like whatever
Right.
they want. Like I feel like that like they're gonna take the Titan. Actually, my next bet is that they're gonna make 7 and 9 a captain, and probably with high likelihood the captain of the Titan. I think they're gonna explore that avenue in this timeline at this point in the timeline where she's captain of the Titan. Um, and maybe Crash, LaForge is still there because they're kind of making that character. Um, and then they deal with the aftermath. Like so, the TNG people kind of come and go, but they roll into a different series, and what they call it, I don't know. But that's my expectation because I don't think, man, Paramount's not planning off. They're like, nope, third season and we're done, and then we're just gonna shelf everything. Uh, that would be rough. But what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Well, what I know from what I've read, their plan is that they've hit the cap of the number of simultaneous shows they're going to run, so they're only going to add new shows as other ones phase out. I don't know if you've heard, this next one's going to be the last season of Discovery.
I heard that. Uh,
So
I
that's
heard
going
that
to get
just recently,
replaced.
but as you know, I left Discovery a while ago, so
Yeah.
it doesn't bother me too much because I left it for a reason. I gave it an honest go, and I'm okay with that. But I know there's fans out there, so I won't throw it too much shade. Um,
Well, the point of that statement is uh, what that's going to mean is Picard ending and Discovery ending. That opens the door for two other shows. One has been in the works for the longest time, Section 31. Philippa Georgiou, Mirror Philippa Georgiou is going to be the head of that one, which is how they're going to bring her back in. We'll see. But the other rumor is something we've talked about before. Is apparently they are looking to do a Starfleet Academy series.
oh my God, wouldn't that be great? I mean, I think Star Trek meets Smallville, or some
Uh,
other or some other thing like that. I think it'd be great. Like the pick your high school coming of age show, and slap a Star Trek Academy on it. I think that'd be great. You could really have some great character development and great.
I don't want it to be too heavy on the teen angst because I mean this isn't supposed to be like a young adult show. It's supposed to be like
I'd be
a
okay with it,
main Star
because
Trek show.
big fan of
They've
Smallville.
already got they've already got Prodigy aimed towards the kids. They needed something for a general audience,
Yeah,
not
but
like
I feel like Prodigy, and I might be wrong because I've watched all of the first episode of Prodigy. Um, and maybe it's the cartoon form. Actually, speaking about cartoon formats, Lower Decks, they got to keep that going because
oh yes.
um, just it's so loyal to the canon and making fun of it. Like that's its sole purpose, but it does it so well now. It took me a couple episodes to get into it, and I got out of it, and I was like, it's just one running joke. Okay, I got it. But then afterwards, I did appreciate all the references. So
Yes.
I hope if you're mentioning three, I hope Lower Deck still makes the list. Um,
Apparently the Strange New Worlds, thank God, is now the flagship program once Discovery ends for the foreseeable future.
so it's
Really
gonna be.
hope that one
So you really
goes for a
think?
long time.
Well, if you go by your math, then they're gonna really shut it down. Then so it'll be Strange New Worlds, Prodigy, and the Section 31 thing. I guess Lower
And
Decks.
Lower Decks and the Starfleet Academy one. So there will be five shows. Right now
So they don't count
there's
the
five
cartoon
shows.
versions.
Well, no, they do. So right now there's five simultaneous shows going right now. Not airing right now, but that are being produced right now, or airing, one or the other. You got
Okay,
Discovery.
they're
You got
cycling through five five
yeah,
IPs in the Star Trek universe.
yes. You got Discovery, Lower Decks, Picard, um, Strange New Worlds, and Prodigy. Or is that only four? Or did I miss one?
Strange New Worlds, Prodigy, Lower Decks, Section 31.
No, section. I'm not counting Section 31 because that one's not out yet. Let me start. My it's 12:10 here, so let me get my brain working. Okay, so in order they came out, we've got Discovery. I believe next was Picard. Then we've got Lower Decks. And then we've got Prodigy, and then we've got Strange New Worlds. Yeah, so there's 5 that are happening right now. Then Picard ends, and then Section 31 comes in at some point. That's not been determined. Then Discovery ends, and so the Academy one comes in. That's how it appears to be shaping up.
So they're replacing Picard with the Section 31 one? Man,
well, it's not a one-run replacement. It's just a different show in Star Trek. So,
man, I hope they don't do that. I hope that they, I mean, maybe not immediately, but I hope they leave the door open to take all the good things they've done with Picard and then like try to roll that into a different show. I just think there's a lot of ground to cover.
That's what happened with Strange New Worlds. I don't know if that was even directly planned until the reception to Pike was so positive in season 2 of Discovery.
That's a great question.
It took a few years before Strange New Worlds came out. So, obviously, I'm not an insider at Paramount. I couldn't tell you when Strange New Worlds was actually pitched as a concept. But what it looked like from the outside is that everyone loved Pike so much. They're like, you know what? We can make a show out of this.
Which is bold.
Which is amazing.
Which is bold to be like, this one character is one actor really sold it so well, we're gonna put a whole series behind it.
Okay.
I mean,
very, very hot take. Pike, Anson Mount, given another few seasons, but if it keeps up the way it has this one season and with how it did in Discovery, he will be my new favorite captain.
Oh, that's a bold statement. Bold statement, my friend.
I love just the way he even acts the role is just so much fun. Like, I cannot tell you, there has not been a show, maybe my entire life, that when every new episode came out, back when Strange New Worlds was going, I was just giddy to watch it. Like, just straight up, like, I've been just eating this up like it's crack. Just, oh man, everything about that show is exactly what I wanted.
It was very good. I'm glad it exists. I think I made comment to you that when they made the transition and showed Pike, I kind of said this is why Discovery was around, just to be like the prologue to and segue to get to here. But I do love it. Best captain of all time. That's a tough statement. I don't know if that far. I wouldn't go that far. But
as of right now, I would not make that statement. But if it continues at this level for another 3-4 seasons, and he's just as good, if not getting better than he is now, and we're not talking like best captain as in like best as a captain. I'm talking just like the best, most. Like you can debate Kirk versus Picard all day long.
Sure.
It's better. Which is the better actor? What's better character? That's what I want to put. Which is the best character? I think as a character, he may wind up being the best captain. Oof. We'll see, but he has the very strong potential.
I think for newer Star Trek fans or ones that haven't attached themselves to a different captain, I do think that's a very valid claim. I think for the modern era, he's probably the better captain out there.
Well, then there's me that's seen plenty of Kirk and Picard. I've seen all of TNG, all of the original series, all the movies ever. I'm still saying that. So it's not just for the new people.
I can't go along with you for that ride, but I do appreciate that he's great. But Picard is always going to sell it for me. Hence here we are talking about Picard. But yeah, even though his tales are probably larger than life. But yeah, Strange New Worlds, fantastic show. I love where they're going. Actually, and here's one thing that I think Strange New Worlds did a fantastic job of doing is they revisited the Gorn. Like, how about that for, and they made them better or modernized them in a way of like, they're a threat, you're afraid of them, like they're a menace, but it's not a 1970s cheese to that, and I feel like I don't think
1960s cheese, man. That episode
1960s cheese, but like I don't think the Gorn have really been introduced well after TOS or maybe the cartoon series of TOS since then, but they were like a key character and like TNG, I think stepped right over them. Maybe made a reference to them once or twice. And a lot of other Star Trek shows have stepped over them. And so, what a great way to breathe life into an old nemesis of a way. I was impressed by that.
I mean, it's perfect. They had to find a bad guy. I mean, a big bad. Like Next Generation.
Right,
Well,
like Borg.
original series had the Romulans and the Klingons. Next Generation had the Borg primarily. Voyager had the Borg. Deep Space Nine had the Dominion. Enterprise had literally everyone.
Right.
Discovery, Klingon. You get the point. But they had they had a lot of choices. I mean, they could have done something entirely new, like a whole new threat, but that would have been hard to fit into canon. As far as like, okay,
Right.
well, why was this never mentioned again? They could have gone to like the Tholians, who are very mysterious, but the Tholians are hard to work with. I think the Gorn, honestly, are about the perfect choice for them. I mean, they had to do some things like to go from this giant Barney, knockoff Barney the dinosaur-looking thing from the '60s show to
Aliens.
holy shit, it's aliens. Yes.
Yeah, it's essentially
episode,
aliens.
God.
But they did that right. I mean, I think it was very smart writing and taking an IP and and putting a fresh take on it. I look forward to having more of that in that world too. So yeah, no, that's good. Um, yeah. But let's see, what else about Picard can we talk about? So what do you think is going to happen next with Worf and Rafa? What do you think their plot line's going to be? Because clearly they're going to have to link up at some point. Like, you got to get the band back together. But how do you think that's going to go?
I strongly suspect the band is going to get back together at Pioneer Day, if anywhere. That makes the most sense, because Rafi and Worf making it out to the Nebula makes no sense.
They're both going to get back there just as something blows up or something like that, or
maybe the weirdest thing. Like, why would even they go out there? No, obviously they can't stay in the Nebula forever. If things are going to happen, it's not just if they stay in the Nebula. I'm talking about the wrong group right now. Then it's literally two different shows, because what's happening out there has to link up to what's happening with Rafi and Worf and everything. The stuff back in the Federation, the portal tech, and the recruitment center going kasplooey. But so for Rafi and Worf, well, they're obviously going to keep chasing down the trail of whatever the hell's happening with the Dominion or the Changelings at the very least.
What?
Yes, first, it's a shame that oh gosh, Renee. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. The guy that played Odo. It's a shame that he passed, because he would have been perfect to make an appearance for this.
Yeah, but you couldn't play his character though. Like, I mean, I guess you could play another changeling, but like,
well, it could have still been Odo. Odo didn't cease to exist.
You mean like, not as like one of the terrorist changelings, but more like Odo comes
I'm
back?
talking like I would say, if this would be like, holy shit, there's changelings. Who do we talk to about that? I know. What about the
yes, the consultation of the one that would know best. That would make sense.
Yes, but sadly that's off the table.
Yeah.
R.I.P. So I wonder if maybe we'll make a visit to Deep Space Nine.
Oh, really? You think so?
Something along those lines. That would be a huge thing to have kept under wraps. But if Avery Brooks shows his badass up again, I will be, for having not watched that show. Still, Avery Brooks, damn, he delivered. That would be fun, or at least some. God, Quark. I would take Quark at this point.
Well, Quark makes a showing on Lower Deck, so it's
him.
So he's still around.
Visitor. Yeah, so Armin Shimmerin. Yeah, they did that. So I don't know if they would go back to Deep Space Nine explicitly because of that, because again, they don't want to do the same thing twice. But even then, I mean, who's going to know better about changelings than probably, like, if not Odo, then Ben Sisko. Ben, I basically irradiate an entire planet to prove a point. Sisko. So.
Yeah, we're just gonna look that over.
But you say war crime, I say fun time.
You're right. But but yeah, I don't know. It completely caught me off guard about this whole thing. I feel that um, I don't know where they go with the changelings and um, the whole not involving. It's clear that they've infiltrated Starfleet. Um,
Oh yeah.
I I think they escape somehow. They both meet up to Pioneer Day, and that's where Worf and all that, and something bad happens there. I think there is a civil war. I'm kind of like Starfleet has essentially a civil war, whether that's driven by changelings at the top, and they're just looking for like a catalyst to like declare martial law and seize power or something like that. I can very easily see that happening, where the Federation doesn't really appreciate the fact that they've been infiltrated by changelings and taken over. They just see it as martial law to protect themselves from a foe. Um, but I could see that happening.
You
Um,
have to be careful not to tread over the same plot line that happened. Like it was a season, one of the early seasons of Next Generation, where there was an attempted coup almost by
oh, the war,
bugs that
the Scorpions.
took over. Yeah, bugs that took over.
Man, I would have.
That was weird.
I'll be honest, I would have loved for them to visit that instead of the changelings because they just left that open. They left it. I think that was a season ender where they just sent a signal out into space, and they kind of alluded to the fact that we're gonna bring these guys back, and they never did.
And
They just said, oh, they relayed that information back to the homeworld, and you were like, oh yeah, here, season two, this is gonna come back. Never did ever. They just left it.
because in one of the writing meetings, someone said, "Okay, now bug things living inside guys is neat, but what about evil cyborgs?" And then we know where they went.
I feel like I saw like a documentary on like how they were coming around with stories and stuff like that. I feel like there was a turnover of the writing cast or some like writer's strike, and they just kind of it got left behind, and
Mm.
they were already halfway through another season before, and they're like, eh. And then I do think the board kind of became more front and center.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
but they never closed the door, so I would have loved to see that come back, and they could have modernized that. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, obviously Pioneer Day is going to be something big. I do think, you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're going to kill the pirate, but they're going to escape the pirate somehow,
Yeah.
some
Oh,
way.
definitely. They that would be. She's gonna be a thing right up to the end. I guarantee it.
I
Like
think
that ship
I
is gonna show up at Pioneer Day.
possibly. Yeah, I do think that's I'm guessing they're gonna cheese it that like I hate to say it like Sun Sun Picard is going to come up with some technical thing that allows him to escape or something like that. He's gonna be the key to like, oh yeah, by the way, like
They're
uh,
gonna they're gonna throw a meat-based graviton bomb at it.
a starfish meat-based graviton bomb. Yes, I hear those are very effective in role-playing
Yes.
games.
Yes.
So,
Well, only if it's not artificially produced, in which
right.
case things go sideways. So we've established that now.
That's canon. It's canon.
That's my canon.
That is your canon. Um, but yeah, like, so what else was I gonna say? Um, I don't know. What are the?
Something about Jack Crusher thinking of some bullshit way to solve the whole thing.
Yeah, I if the Jack Crusher character, I'm not 100% on board with yet. Like, I feel he's just his that character is just a foil for all the TNG characters to talk about. Like, he's just something that dredges up the stuff. Like, him as a character, I'm not really sold on. I feel like
Well,
he's a little too he's too
three
cliche.
episodes in, yes. Uh, I'm assuming that this whole like he almost died, and then there's dear old dad standing over him, looking worried. That's gotta at least have some effect. But I mean, yes, if he doesn't make any change by the end of the series, well, then they're the writers don't know what they're doing. But I guarantee you that there's going to be a shift. I severely doubt it's going to be a father son, come here, dad, oh come here. It's just like hugging. No, that's never going to be that.
I
That would be just way too too saccharine, but there's going to be at least some reconciliation.
See, now,
And
if I'm going with my my writers, like modern writers laziness thing, is that if we're gonna do a spin-off series, you're gonna probably carry that character over to the next series just because
possible.
you can't have Patrick Stewart anymore. You're gonna have the son of Picard because that seems to be the modern era way of like introducing new characters, is that like they're the lineage of the character you used to love. Like, it's
Yeah.
so I find that if they do a spin-off, they're gonna bring him along just so they can infuse our minds with Picard and be like, oh, this is the Picard, but the younger Picard, the newer
Yeah.
Picard. And
If
I'm
he
like,
calls him if although if he calls himself Jack Picard by the end of the show, that might be a little too much.
oh, really? You think so? Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
that it depends on how they do it. I mean, if it's like the last scene of spoiler alert for Rise of Skywalker, where he introduced himself in the last scene of that, like I'm Ray Skywalker, and he
yeah,
says I'm Jack Picard. I'll be like, oh God, don't go full Star Wars, not like this.
I think they might.
Don't go full sequel trilogy.
I think they might because that's what in executives' minds, that's what works. And that's what hooks people onto the new series. I think I do agree with you though. I feel like it, it would
Cheap.
fall flat for me. It'd fall
It
flat
would
for
be
me, yeah.
cheap.
Uh,
Yes.
but um, but yeah,
Now, I did have one idea that just came to me talking about the father son reunion.
yes.
Now this could segue into something else, like question like, if anyone from the original cast is going to die, who do you think it is? The thought occurred to me, what
Oh,
would really make the two of them bond?
what Beverly Crusher dying?
Yes. It's
Oh,
like, oh,
I hate to say I agree with that, and actually I would not be shocked if they did that. I probably would kill off her
yeah.
character too, because although I think she's appreciated by the fan base. I don't think everyone would be like, if as long as she gets a good send off, like it's a good storyline. It's not just a Tasha Yar. I'm just gonna be, you know,
Just killed by a big ball of
yeah,
sludge. Yeah.
slapped by a ball of sludge into death. I think if they did a good send off with that, I also think the actress playing her, I don't McFadden, I don't know, I haven't heard her in interviews and stuff like that, but I don't think she would be sad about her character having a demise. Like I don't think
Well,
um
I imagine everyone's expecting this is going to be the last time they play these roles. They really should be. It would be very cheap because this feels like a send off.
it does
So
it does, and I think they get the chance to play out their characters when they're in their golden years, and I think they get to close the arc on that. But like, I do think it'd be laboring on, and the only one you could kind of get away with Data, but Data's already been done, so like they already
yeah,
addressed that. So, but I do think, you know, and Riker's kind of done. It's kind of a shame because like Riker is canon. There's a lot of stuff that hasn't hit the screen that's kind of alluded to of him being the captain of the Titan, and then
the
him going
first
to
Titan. Yeah.
yeah, and then it's like, um, missed opportunity of like making a series out of that and bring those characters. And I think it's a little late in their physical careers to get started and like play that out.
Yeah.
Uh, but uh, but yeah, no, I think Beverly Crusher will high likelihood die as a character.
Yeah.
Probably
If
probably
anyone
by
on
the
that
halfway
cast,
mark. I think it might be soon. Uh,
yeah.
I do appreciate that she like rogered up and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a doctor for for all those things." And the other doctor was like, "Get out of my way! You're practicing old school medicine." But I think yeah, I think they'll kill her off to heighten the bond between father and son.
Well, I imagine first thing is son is going to blame father, and father may blame son until they finally get over that.
Hmm.
I imagine that's going to be the knee-jerk reaction. Now, I'm like of two mindsets here. Like, from a writer's perspective, yes, killing her off about halfway makes a lot of sense. However, there's the TNG fan inside of me that doesn't want that to happen until all the cast gets a chance to be together on screen at once. But
Oh
then
yeah.
again, with Data being gone, that's kind of that ship's already sailed. So
You're
I don't
right.
know.
They probably could drag it out for an episode where they're going to be get together and she's going to do something important that she doesn't survive from. It will still bond them together, but it will be after the reunion. Um, but yeah, like I think they have more introductions to make. You're right, but yeah, I feel that I think she doesn't make it through this season. Um,
Well,
I,
she wouldn't make it through next season because there is no next season.
well, her character will have an end date. Um,
Her character does not get to live to see the very final end credits. Yes.
right. Um, but yeah, like I think her character. I don't know if they'd be bold enough to get rid of Picard. Like, what happens to Picard at the end of the season? What do you think?
I think it's entirely within the realm of possibility that he dies. If he does, it's almost certainly to save everyone else,
Humanity,
especially
the
well,
Federation,
humanity, his son at the very least,
the
probably the
Federation.
rest of the crew. That seems if he's my number two on the if someone from the original cast has to die, who it's him. Um,
I think Riker pulls through. I don't think Paramount's ready to let go of him as a character. Like I wouldn't want to write them into like if I was working for Paramount, I'm like I don't know if I want to write us into a corner. I would leave.
Especially as how active Jonathan Frakes is and stuff. I mean, he literally directed the last episode, if I recall correctly. So, I mean, he's been heavily involved, and I think the other shows as well. So he's very much prime Star Trek real estate.
Yeah, so I think you would want to keep that avenue open. So I think he lives, but I do think actually I think Picard because I think that's the only way Patrick Stewart can write an end to his character because his character has done so many over the top things over the years and they like I hate to say it but sure he's having Patrick Stewart's having a good run of it all but I think as an
He's
actor
80 something.
he wants closure. He's gonna want closure to something, and I think this is like this. I think he told the writers of like, this is the way I want it to go, and this is my last season. So, and you owe me an arc, and this is the way we're gonna do it, and then it's done because like, he's got to be, you know,
He's
uh,
82 years old, yeah.
he's got to be, and it kind of shows. Like I remember Picard season one, I was like, oof, like he's doing. I hope I'm doing that well when I'm that age. But like I know in Star Trek canon, like people can be very old. Characters can be super old.
Well,
Uh,
remember, he's no longer actually a person, anyways. He's an android. He's basically. Remember at the end of season one, he died?
it's true. It's true.
So, theoretically, he could live forever.
But the actor can't. So
No, he
so
cannot.
I think he's gonna like it's gotta be very fatiguing being 82 and do the acting. So I don't know. I think he does something epic to save the Federation. Because I also think they alluded to in the storyline that they kind of like he could never be the father that even though he didn't get the chance to or he was kind of denied the chance like he's not the family man we always want him to be the family man but he is in service to Starfleet and he's going to die a captain's death down with the ship. Like he's going to die the captain's death of I go down with the ship to save to win the battle.
It
Like
better not be as bad as dying underneath a bridge on Viridian 3. Generations.
eh,
Poor Kirk. He deserved better. Anyhow, yes, he needs to actually go out in a more heroic way. And his last words can't be, "Oh my." Sorry, I'm still hung up on that, and it's been 1996. It did
it's been
Kirk dirty.
yeah, I guess so. I never really when I watched it, I never really thought of it that way, but I guess like yeah, it's true. Like maybe not the I wonder what Shatner has said about that ending. How does he feel about his character dying like that?
I actually do not know.
I imagine there's got to be some interview since '96. It's been plenty of
Oh, I
time for someone to
guarantee,
ask him the
sure.
question.
I've never been one to watch interviews, so
But that'd be an interesting clip to see how if he's okay, if he was okay with that, or it was like really. Um, But I feel like he was comfortable separating. Like he was done with that acting experience. He didn't want. Also, I think in the '90s, I felt like Shatner didn't want to be like even though he was like he wanted to be defined as more than just this is I am James T. Kirk. But
I mean,
I
he
think
did Boston Legal, but what else? I think that was about the only other thing I
but
can
I
think
feel
of.
like he's been trying to like do other things, and let's be honest, he was like I think he was like in a band or something, or whatever. But like anyways, like he did the whole like trying to be something different. It just kind of fell flat, and I think he's come to terms with
Yeah.
it since. But I feel like in the '90s, he was completely like I'm more than just this. You're not because you're, but that's okay. Like you know,
Well,
you're
Patrick Stewart escaped that. I mean, he got stuck firmly in the nerd sphere, although he still has done stage plays. But I mean, he
but
also
he did more before
Magnetic
he
Professor X. So,
but
well,
he
yeah, Patrick Stewart was established
before.
in Shakespearean type acting before he became Picard. So yeah, he had something to fall back on.
I remember seeing Patrick Stewart in it was a King Arthur movie before that role. So I was familiar with Patrick Stewart before he was the captain, and I thought it was like some King Arthur Knights at a Round Table movie back in the day.
Oh, well, no, I don't remember when it was, but it was the Mel Brooks Robin Hood Men in Tights. He was the king in that one.
He was in
That
that
I
one. No,
so
this is like an earlier works, and I would have to like
oh, okay, okay, okay.
it was not a comedy. It was a legitimate like I'll have to look it up here and see what that.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay.
Patrick Stewart filmography.
But I remember him from that one, and I don't know if it was like well renowned back in the day or not. If it was just I just remember watching it as a kid because it was a Knight's movie. Like it was a Knight movie. I'm like okay. Um, maybe it was like The Sword and the Stone comes to mind or something like that. Um, let's see if Trip's fact checking me here.
Oh, I am going back. Let's see. So the first thing he was in an episode of a TV show in 1964. So he's been around doing this for a little while. Let's see. Uh,
He must be a younger man that back then, if not a kid.
oh yeah. Well, he's 82 now, so yeah, he
Yeah,
was
that's true.
young at that point.
That was 60 years. He was in his 20s ish.
I think something like that. Yeah, he's been in a lot of things, so it's hard to.
But he was in a lot of things before TNG. Um,
Yeah, he was. That started in '87, so
right.
there's plenty of things before that.
I feel like it probably started in like the fall of '87 because I remember it starting then. Um, but yeah, like what is? I got all right. I'm gonna look at IMDb myself here.
That's exactly where I
Um, I shouldn't bring up things I can't back up.
am.
All right, let's see. Patrick Stewart, known for. All right, let's scroll all the way
I'm not
back.
seeing him as king anything except for King Richard in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
No, I thought. Oh, it's gonna haunt me. There was something that. Um, take that. Is Excalibur.
Excalibur?
Excalibur, 1981.
Oh, Leon deGrance? Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what's coming to my mind. Um, I remember watching that and knowing him from that. Whether that was, what he wants to be known as or not, I don't know. But I remember him from that.
Yeah, he's not even one of the lead cast in it, so yeah.
No, I don't think he was, but I think he had a prominent, like his acting ability kind of stuck out to me. Um, but yeah, so
He's 14th build Oh my God, Liam Neeson was in it, and here's people billed above Patrick Stewart in this movie: Nigel Terry, Helen Mirren, Nicholas Clay, Sherry Lungi, don't know who she is, Paul Jeffrey, Nicole Williamson, Robert Addy, I don't know who that is, or Gabriel Byrne, Keith Buckley, Katrine Borman, Liam Neeson, Colin Redgrave, and Niall O'Brien. Don't know who that is. So, like, Patrick Stewart and Liam Neeson were in a movie together. I would have never thought of that.
That's like a 5 degrees from Kevin Bacon kind of
Oh,
Also, I
that
don't
is.
think Liam Neeson was much of a person back then. Like,
Oh,
also,
Liam Neeson's substantially younger, so he's probably playing a kid or something.
yeah, like, might have to break that movie out just to see what it's like. But
Like, Liam Neeson was born in 52, and Patrick Stewart was born in 40. So 12-year difference. That means Liam Neeson is about 70. Yeah.
well, he's doing great for 70. I didn't appreciate
True.
that he was that old. But good for him. So he was kicking butt in his 60s or 50s, 60s. That's pretty good.
Yep.
In all those movies where, um,
Or his family gets taken. Yes.
yeah, he should work on not having that happen as much. But
Yeah.
all right. Well, we're getting close to the end of time. So any parting thoughts in regards to uh, either where season 1 through or episodes 1 through 3? What do you think's gonna happen for 4? For the rest of the season? Anything about characters? What's your final thoughts?
All right. Let's both make one prediction. It doesn't. It could be absolute BS. One thing that is going to happen
Next
in the
episode?
next episode.
Ooh, that's a good. I like that one. All right. All right. What's your take?
Let's see. I guarantee Patrick Stewart's going to be
Uh, wow,
in
really?
it.
Wow, you're really risking a lot there with that bet.
I like being right. So
I think season 4 will air. Or
season four.
Episode 4 will air.
Oh, so we've got it here first. There's going to be a season 4 of Picard.
Nah, yeah,
Okay,
right.
I'm holding you
That,
to that one.
you know what?
I'm
They might
DMing you. I'm lawyering you.
they may they may very well bring it back after they realize, oh shit, we just killed the season when it's like it had its best ratings ever. They're gonna be like, ah, damn it. Let's
Yeah.
see. What could happen? I think that they escape the pirate ship next episode. Because right now they're like in pursuit. I think they somehow are able to disable it or break through. Um, and I feel like 7 of 9 is going to assist in that phenomenon of how they break through. 7 and 9 is going to be the one that's like, oh yeah, well, because she's been locked up this entire time, so she probably has the key. Like if she was on the bridge, she would have been like, oh yeah, we know what to do to deal with this. So I think she's going to be key, and that's going to kind of how she's going to win back her good graces of being XO, because or first officer, because Riker's going to be completely like, nice move, I'm reinstating you because you're creative. That's my bet. That's my bet. 7 and 9 gets reinstated next episode because she comes up with a clever way to deal with for them to escape the pirate ship, whether disabling something or they're just able to get away from them or hide or something. If they're lazy, they're gonna come up with like, oh yeah, the Borg. She has information of this from the Borg from back there, But anyways,
Yeah.
I won't extrapolate too much on that because that's gonna be hard to predict. But I think that's what's gonna happen next episode. No, and no major characters will die next episode.
Oh no, I don't think anyone's going to die next
I
episode
think
either.
they'll wait till episode 5 before they start killing people off because most seasons now are like at least 8 to 10 episodes, so we're not even halfway through. I think.
And this one's going to be 10 episodes.
Oh, it's gonna be 10.
Yeah, I don't think they'll escape next week or this coming
Really?
one. I think it'll be the week after.
Really, you think they're gonna play cat and mouse for another week?
With the portal tech they've introduced, that does create a very big goal. So I feel like, I mean, it's possible. I'm going to say they don't, but I could very well be wrong, obviously. But no later than episode 5 do they escape. That would be prologuing it too much. Uh,
Yeah, I
but
feel
as
that's
for
pretty
just
safe.
opening,
I think they now I do think that they could get out of it by the end of next episode, but I feel that they get out. And yeah, you're right. The portal tech is kind of this nebulous things, as we're very well aware of. Portals can be abused to no extent, and
oh yeah, oh that's
so
a whole other story. Ooh.
but now that you've introduced portals, has it ruined Star Trek? Because now traveling could be as easy as
Well,
portaling.
depending. The portals we've seen so far have been very short range, so not necessarily.
I'm sure they're gonna use something like it needs to charge up and they need to make a portal, or maybe that's how they escape is that like they make a portal and the Enterprise runs through it, and the portal
Enterprise.
not Enterprise, the Titan runs through it and they escape through a portal, essentially. Uh,
That would be one way they could escape.
like
That would be
they portal it
sufficiently.
and then they're able to shut down the portal afterwards, so they're able to get back home, back to the back to some other location. Um, Something like that. I could see that.
Oh, all right,
But
so for my actual prediction,
yeah,
let's see. Other
you're
than
gonna risk
Patrick
a little more
Stewart,
than yeah.
other than other than everyone that was in the main cast appearing in this episode, or not the main cast of TNG, the main cast of this current show, they're
Okay.
all gonna be back for another week. Oh, let's see. We are going to learn. Worf is going to continue to become funnier in ways that we would not expect, and I am deliciously looking forward to it.
The Worf jokes will continue.
Yes.
All right, well we'll see. I look forward to that being true. I think they've been very lucky with infusing Worf with humor, with but not making him like comic relief. And I'm
Mhm.
afraid
I don't
they've been
think it's
lucky.
gonna be
I think
overdone. No, no, no. There's
I think it is. They are riding a very fine line of it being overdone, and I almost hope they don't because I'm afraid that they'll they'll cross the line and make it a little too punny.
I'm expecting one good Worf one-liner.
Hmm. I
There were two the last episode. There was we do killing on Wednesdays or whatever it was on Wednesdays, and working on myself. So it's the precedent's been set. I don't think they're gonna keep it up to the same degree. There's got to be at least one time where Worf is going to make me laugh out loud.
Okay. Okay. I think I think those two, Rafa and Worf, are going to reveal the overarching plot faster than what the Titan's dealing with right now. I think the
Oh
Titan
yes.
will figure it out and show up, but they won't know what's going on. I think Worf and Rafa are going to be the ones that know the big arc, and then the reunite's going to be like, this is the big problem. We need to get ahead of it and stop it. And maybe that's where they introduce LaForge and like, who can stop this? LaForge, because he's a brilliant guy that does engineering stuff and he'll engineer an answer. Like, I think that's what's going to happen. Like, that's going to be um, I also I would think that I'm gonna go a step further as saying episode 5 might be the Pioneer Day disaster.
I
Whatever.
feel like Pioneer Day is gonna be the climax of the show.
Really, the climax of the
Yeah.
show. Okay, let's write that down.
Yeah.
Because I don't. I think that's gonna be the middle point of like that's the event they try to race to and they can't do it, and then like they're going to try to stop the big bad from doing something worse. But you're right though. Maybe now I'm thinking about it. Maybe that is the big thing they have to stop is Pioneer. But it felt like Pioneer Day was around the corner and they've been killing time. So and because the Titan has to be back by a certain time for Pioneer Day, and they're like, well, we won't make it back if we don't like double time it on the way back. So like I always feel like they're going to be late to the event.
You know how
And
fast the ship can go is totally dependent on plot.
I think that their whole fiasco with the pirates going to slow them down. That they're going to show up like either at the moment that like Pioneer Day goes sideways, or afterwards when like they're the last one. They the only ship that survives because they're late to the show, and everyone
So
else
for
got
once, it will
obliterated.
make sense. It'll finally make sense. You're the only ship that's in the sector. Well, yes, this time. actually true.
I
With
could
that,
very easily,
I
and that's
don't
how they.
think that's gonna happen, but
I,
we'll see.
I think they show up late and they're like, "Oh man, we're too late," and that's where they reunite because they've kind of foreshadowed it a little bit with like, "Oh well, we would have to, we can get back there in time if we do this for like a day and then we like go as fast, pedal to the floor for the rest of the time." So I feel like they're going to show up late. So, but I think 5 or 6 is going to be the big clutch thing of like that's the moment. Um, that they're yeah, and then like just to get out the big bad because they're gonna have something even more apocalyptic planned. But you're right though, it could very well be like that's the end day. But then I feel like they're really stretching out, um, like because it feels like there's like a week less than that before Pioneer Day. I feel like all the things going on is taking up more time than a week. Like they're spending days in that nebula. But you're right, it could go as fast as plot. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will see.
All right,
And
well,
we're both probably wrong.
I look forward to finding how wrong we are. I feel like there's a lot more right than wrong. Um, and after the Sneed thing, I feel like you are, uh, I think Paramount's stealing your notes for your art campaign. So,
Well,
uh,
I mean, first of all, I came up with the idea of second line ship literally 15 years ago for a book I was going to write. So the whole thing with lower decks, yeah, that was my idea. So, hmm,
you just didn't put it on.
that's
You didn't see. We're anchoring this in time, so if anyone calls shenanigans on it, they can look at this episode and go, nope, there was a point to it. So.
well, I mean, hey, any plot lines that we've got on the videos that are up there that I've done for this show for Lexington. So yeah, any of those come up in future Star Trek, we know who did it first.
That's right, Paramount. Listen to this guy. Give this guy a job. That'd be sweet.
Oh,
Uh,
jeez, I couldn't deal with the pressure. I just
eh,
want to sue him.
no, no, no. So on that note, I will transition to for anyone that's watching. I've just posted in the chat that please donate to Extra Life. Extra Life, charitable organization we here at Rapid Haberdashery support. Please go to our page on Extra Life. Lots of our teammates are supporting various hospitals around the country. All the money you donate goes to sick kids during their hospital stays, for entertainment purposes as well as assistance, just to help them through their tough time with their medical conditions. So please, if you have time and a few dollars, please take a look at the website and donate if you can. Also putting a plug in for our Lexington Last of the Line RPG using the FASA Star Trek system. We do it on every Thursdays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the right coast, and where Tripper is the GM, and I play Lieutenant Commander Nakamura, but we also have other folks playing as well. On the channel, tomorrow I will be hosting Road to Oblivion, Sentinels in the Multiverse, a game where it's a series of ladder matches to ultimately play Oblivion. We've been having a lot of fun with that. It's good times. Feel free to tune in for that. And then there's also a Pathfinder game on Mondays, Monday evenings as well. So lots of things on the channel, lots of other impromptu things. So please tune in, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'd like to thank Tripper for indulging me in having this little show started going. I think it was fun just to chat about it and put it on recording. Maybe we'll
Oh
do
yeah.
this. I feel like we'll do this at least for the rest of Picard season, but I also feel like Paramount's churning out a lot of good Star Trek IP, so there's a lot of things. Whether this is a regular time slot or not, we'll to be determined or not. But we'll go from there. But thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time. Take care. Have a good night.
Have a good night.